Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I want to talk to you about 5 ways to gain muscle without gaining body fat. And this is something that I get asked very, very often. Kuba, how do you get so big? Or how do you make so much progress without gaining body fat or without getting fat? So today I want to give you 5 simple tips for you to actually gain muscle without gaining excessive body fat. Before we get stuck into today's video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you like the video, and all things coaching, consultations, training plans, please visit Team MK Coaching and see how it can help you. Trained by JP, code Kuba10, and code Kuba at Hardbody if you want some sick accessories. Now, let's get back into today's video. Step number 1. Out of 5 ways for you to gain muscle and not get fat. And that is a huge one. That is probably the most important one out of all 5, and that is small calorie surplus. Believe it or not, guys, in order for you to gain muscle tissue, you do not need to be in an extremely high surplus. Small calorie surplus, consistent over time, is going to pay dividend. It's obvious, you have to be lean to start with. You cannot start a gaining phase if you are already fat. So I think I need to preface this video before we actually start that you need to actually be lean before you go into a gaining phase. Otherwise, if you are already fat, going into a gaining phase, you will just get fatter. So you have no hope. Even if you stay in a small calorie surplus, guess what, guys? You will still get fat. And you will still get fatter if you're already fat. So first step, you have to be as lean as possible going into your gaining phase. And then the most important one, step number 1, is making sure that you stay in a small calorie surplus. Generally, once a calorie surplus is established, the most ideal rate of gain, and again, this is if all stars align and someone is in a great place mentally, what I would love to see is around £1 max per week when it comes to rate of gain for assisted athletes. If you are a non-assisted athlete, if you're a natural athlete, I would even err on side of caution and roughly go for 0.5 up to 0.7 pounds per week. If you are an assisted athlete, around maximum 1.5 pound per week is the max of what I would love to see as far as your rate of gain goes. In order for that to happen, you have to stay in a small calorie surplus. Staying in a small calorie surplus will allow you to not only stay more insulin sensitive, but you are going to fuel your training performance adequately. You are going to be able to add the muscle tissue slowly over time. You will be able to have sufficient fuel coming in, fuel meaning the calories, in order for you to recover session to session and be able to make progress. And you are taking sufficient amount of fuel to see just enough body weight gain happen week to week. Some weeks you may gain more, some weeks you may gain less. But as an average, what I would love to see in an ideal world is a 30-week gaining phase, gaining £1 per week, where you start extremely lean. By the end of the 30 weeks, you've gained 25 to 30 pounds, and hopefully you haven't accumulated much body fat as a byproduct of that. And generally, guys, staying in a small calorie surplus means no binging, no overfeeding, no large uncontrolled off-plan meals that are going to put your calorie surplus above and beyond to what you need. So essentially, it will require you to have a high degree of self-control with what you actually put in your mouth. And that is always the hardest part, especially when hunger is high, because let me tell you guys, taking the small approach and taking the patient approach of having that small rate of gain, a small calorie surplus, means that you will sustain high hunger levels over a longer period of time. But the benefits and the rewards that you will reap as a byproduct of that, as you can see with some of these transformations of my clients up on the screen right now, are just amazing. So point number 1, guys, stay in a small calorie surplus. Don't overeat. Eat to your calorific needs. Aim for around £1 rate of gain per week over a longer period of time, starting from a very lean start position, and take your body weight up over a 30-week period. This brings me on to point number 2, which is Not just important for not allowing yourself to get fat, but it's very important for maintaining general fitness levels and general health. Stay active. Keep a baseline activity level in place through your steps and cardiovascular work if needed. I am personally not a fan of doing cardio in a contest prep setting. Most and majority of my clients can get away with doing steps because I do not allow most of my clients to get fat. Therefore, the need for cardio very often isn't there, especially for my bigger guys. Some females, unfortunately, the smaller girls may need a little bit of cardio. However, mostly, majority of my clients actually just do steps. And guess what, guys? They stay stronger, they feel fresher, they don't accumulate as much fatigue, they still get completely peeled inside out, as you can see with some of the results I've been getting, but without the fatigue or performance loss or muscle loss that can come from high cardio if you do not manage your fatigue correctly. Now, in an off-season setting, when you are trying to gain muscle and minimize body fat levels, upholding a baseline level of NEAT with a step target and some moderate targets for cardiovascular work per week will keep you more insulin sensitive, but it will improve your protein synthesis to a degree, improves recovery through better blood flow, improves digestion, and comes with an array of other health benefits which essentially will keep your inflammation down and allow you to stay healthier, leaner, and get stronger throughout your gaining phase. Meaning you gain more muscle and you do not accumulate as much body fat. Point number 3, food is there to be enjoyed. Food is there not to be abused. Do not overeat. The quickest way to get fat in an off-season phase is simply by overeating. Do not overeat. This isn't me saying that you have to be completely rigid and you are not able to eat off plan. This simply means having self-control and not going into your off-plan meals or not going into social occasions and trying to eat like a hungry bodybuilder, and very often having to show your family that just because you're a bodybuilder, you can eat 5 times more than normal people and you have to eat 3 times the portion of everyone else that you sat around with. Instead, take the moderate approach and try to match your calories for the day. And realistically, guys, very often bodybuilders forget that when you go out for meals with friends, right, your friend is not eating 6 meals per day. That's probably the only meal they've had all day. So guess what? They are probably not going to gain much weight out of that meal. However, if you have eaten 5 of your meals already and you are eating a burger and fries and a milkshake on top, which equates to around 2,500-3,000 calories, guess what? That's probably 6,000-7,000 calories for the day. And that will push your calorie surplus for the week extremely high, meaning a lot of fat gain will happen quickly. And if you repeat that week by week, that is one way to accumulate body fat very, very quickly. That is the biggest mistake I see people make in the off-season phases, is eating to their appetite, not their needs. You have to control your surplus and you have to make sure you are not overeating. Overeating will not only lead to fast accumulation of body fat, it will drive inflammation, it will actually skew your insulin sensitivity, which means worse health markers. And I will be dead honest with you guys, I have seen more lipid damage and more skewed blood work through poor nutrition practice and lack of self-control with not only food choices, but overeating than actual PEDs. Food can be just as damaging as PEDs when you overdo it, especially in high quantities with very poor quality food going in week to week. Don't overeat, keep your nutrition on point, and try to roughly macro track your meals. And guess what, guys? You will stay more responsive, more insulin sensitive, you will have better blood work, better health outcomes, better sleep, and you will gain more muscle without gaining body fat, which is always the goal. Point number 4, training effort. If you want to gain more muscle and stay leaner, you have to make sure you apply yourself and you have to train hard. You cannot expect your body to be utilizing the fuel that you are putting in. You cannot expect your body to be utilizing the fuel that you are putting in your body daily effectively if you are not training with high effort. High effort in the gym means more muscle, less body fat accumulation, and higher need for your calorie intake. And if you are a fat child at heart, I am a fat child at heart, you will take pride in training extremely hard so that your body needs the calories for you to be able to recover session to session and be able to repeat the training performance and simply make progress by adding the muscle tissue that is fueled by training. Because one thing you have to remember and understand, you cannot eat muscle on. People very often are under the impression that the more they eat, the more muscle they will grow. That's just not the case. The harder you train, the more accurately you train, the smarter you train, the more muscle you will grow. High effort training means more muscle, less fat gain. This brings me on to point number 5, guys. This one is a very important one that I need you all to make a note of. So make sure you write this down. Do not permabulk. I see this far too often. Guys are forever bulking and getting nowhere. There is only so much body weight you can gain. There is only so much time you can stay in a calorie surplus before your body needs to be resensitized to both nutrition and before you get to a point where you inevitably need to drop some body fat. The most successful off seasons I have ever had have always been starting from an extremely low body fat set point. If you want to gain muscle and minimize fat gain, you will need to periodize your calorie surplus with active periods of pulling back and active periods of a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit is not just there to resensitize you and set you up for the next growth phase. A calorie deficit is a way you can actually detoxify your body, because guess what? Staying in a calorie surplus is not healthy. And it's quite interesting now when you see a lot of guys like Dr. William Wallace post all of these studies on Instagram. And I very much enjoy reading them, because now there's a lot of scientists that claim a calorie deficit is extremely healthy because it does all of these things where it detoxifies the body, it improves lipid profile, it does all of these wonderful things, which is something that we already know as bodybuilders, because each time we go into a contest prep, we get healthier. Each time we diet, our blood markers improve, our insulin sensitivity improves, we are less inflamed, we feel better, we have more energy. Permabulking is one way to not only build less muscle, but it's just one way and one ticket to just keep getting fatter and fatter. This is where a very well calculated timeline will come into play, and that's something that I always structure for my clients, is a vision for the year where we will go through phases of gaining muscle, off-season phases where we are actively trying to gain muscle tissue whilst minimizing fat gain through the steps I've explained and more when you get the hands-on approach for myself, obviously. But we will always plan diet phases where we will actively bring down the body fat and get the client lean. You have to get lean at some point in order to come back up. You cannot forever just gain muscle tissue, because you will get to a point where no more muscle is there to be gained, and you will not gain more muscle. You will just continue to gain more body fat if you try to permabulk. Now, if you want to actually gain maximum muscle tissue whilst minimizing fat gain, avoid permabulking. These guys are always the guys that just never make progress and just get fatter. Don't be that guy. Guys, this is my 5 top tips to maximize muscle gain whilst avoiding getting fat. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to learn more, please apply to my mentorship, where I have deep dives on various topics, both bodybuilding and business. And if you are looking for coaching, consultations, training plans, please visit teammkcoaching.com. Links in the description below. And if you need from Trained by JP, code Kuba10, code Kuba for hard body. And guys, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed today's video. Much more is yet to come, guys. And keep following on for this year's prep. Game time. Guys, leave you all for now. If you want me to cover anything specific, please comment below and I'm happy to get it done. Now, if you have made it to the very end and you are watching this, please comment below, don't be a permabulker. And then we'll know who made it to the very end and who's a true OG. Guys, peace out and take care for now. Love you all and peace out.